Corey, I want to stick with that same position. I'm curious, it's been a few years, and obviously you weren't here, but how much do you know about Missouri's kind of history and tradition at defensive end?
It depends on how far you go back. I mean, we played them when I was at another place in 2013. I think I was at Ole Miss. They came down. I think it was their first or second year in the league.
Yeah.
And I know both those ends were creating all kinds.
Right.
I'm not sure who those guys were on that team, but no, I mean, all you got to do is walk in the locker room and you walk through that thing and you look at the names, you know, the great players that have played here, and a lot of them I knew that they were, you know, from Mizzou, and some of them you're like, dang, I didn't know that guy was here in this locker room.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, tremendous tradition, you know, especially at the defensive end position.
12 months ago, I think all of us around the program heard Daryus Smith's name a lot, right? Like, how good was he last August, and how is he back to that level from what you've seen?
Yeah, you know, last fall camp, I mean, you could argue that he was, you know, probably one of the most. He was certainly one of the most unique players we had on defense in regards to his length, his physicality with his hands, how fast and athletic he was. I mean, you know, it was something that jumped out. How hard he plays. I mean, that was really something that from the start, you know, whether he knew the assignments, because as a transfer guy, there's going to be those bumps, but he played so damn hard and was able to affect games in regards to, or affect plays in regards to his effort. And, you know, seeing him go down, you know, that was tough. Very proud of the way he was able to stay locked in mentally and the rehab process. But you know, it was good to see him kind of, you know, be back out there this spring, even though it was a limited role. And then you go through the summer, and now he's, you know, just running around like his old self. And so, very anxious to see, you know, what he's able to do, you know, after a full off season, a full year in the program, knowing what he's supposed to do, alignment, assignment, responsibility. You know, kind of seeing him just being able to turn his brain off and cut loose, which has been really cool to see.
Missouri fans probably know less about Damon Wilson just because he hasn't been here yet, but obviously a guy that comes in with a ton of fanfare. How big was getting Damon here, and what do you like about what he can do for your defense?
Yeah, obviously it's big. You know, Coach Drink wanted to address, you know, with the loss of the production that we had last year with Johnny, you know, at that edge position. You know, being able to address that, you know, from the start. And so a guy that's played in this league, schematically has a, you know, you watch the film and you see things, okay, from a schematic standpoint, those are things that we do, that he's been able to do. And then once we got him here, though, I mean, that's where it's been really cool. You know, it's one thing to see a guy on tape and you talk to people about the young man, but then once he's been in the building and how he's been about his business and how he conducts himself and how he treats others and his work ethic, I mean, those are the things that make you the most excited about him. And so I'm anxious. You know, just again, like a common theme is to see all the hard work that these guys have put in, you know, through spring ball, through a really hard summer. Now it's an opportunity to go out and do what they've been working toward, and that'll be really fun for us.
On the inside, I think you probably go into August pretty confident, pretty sure what you have in Chris McClellan. What do you need to see over the next month outside of him at that position?
Well, just, you know, like in every position, right, is the continued growth. You know, C-Mac played a lot of snaps for us last year, and you know, there's still some growth in his game that he's attacking. And so, you know, from an individual and personalized standpoint, you know, each guy in that room, you know, being the best version of themselves, taking to the coaching, right, learning the schematics, right, working the technique. D-tackles is such a technique-driven position, much like corner, you know, and so you never really master it. You're always chasing that. And to see, you know, again, the time that they've put in as a group, you know, whether it be, you know, C-Mac or Webb, you know, Braylon, who we brought in, Marquise, you know, Jalen, Elias, I mean, all those guys, you know, just being able to see, you know, hey, what's the next step in terms of the individual accomplishments and how they're getting their game closer to what is really their potential. And then if each of them are able to do that, right, what does that look like holistically? And so that's what's been fun to watch.
You mentioned corner, similar technique-wise, and kind of along those same lines. What's the next step for Toriano and Dre?
Yeah, just the continued emphasis on consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's, like the corner position, and like I said, D-line, it's so fundamental and technique-based. And corner, especially, in our scheme, you're always chasing that production, right? Because, the consistency standpoint, especially in this league, right? You're going against elite receivers, elite quarterbacks. You got to be on your game from a technique standpoint, from a consistency standpoint, in terms of eye discipline and all those things. And I just feel like, the off seasons that Toriano's had, that Dre's had, in regards to the finer points, right? Being in the film room, learning, right? Continuing to grow. Just the way that they've attacked this off season, makes me very anxious to see what that looks like.
What's adding Stephen Hall to that competition do?
It's been great. The guy's played almost 800 snaps, in his career, and so you add that, into a room where a guy that's played, ball at the highest level. So it's different, from a high school guy getting his first shot versus the transfer portal, right? You can kind of avoid those bumps, those learning bumps, if you will, especially at the corner position. So being a guy like Steven that's coming in, that's played so many meaningful snaps, adds to the competition. We had tremendous competition through the spring, with Nick DeLoach and also those four guys, and then who is the next guy, those young groups, the Cam Keys of the world, that are coming up and trying to push, from being a younger guy into a new role. And so, that's what fall camp's about, right? Is you put all that together and see what that competition's really prevails.
I think Coach Drink said about an hour ago, linebacker, he thinks is the deepest position you guys have. I mean, how excited are you to see what that group can do? I mean, when you're talking about Jeremiah Beasley, maybe is the fighting to be the fourth linebacker, fifth linebacker. That's I guess a good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, Bees for one. I mean, had a really good spring. I mean, Nick Rodriguez had a really good spring. Tristan's played 1 million snaps, and he still found ways to grow. Being a JUCO guy, it wasn't like he's been here for 5 years, right? And so there's growth there. Getting Khalil back from the shoulder, where he was able to get here. Was really starting to figure it out, and then boom, has the injury, right? And then Trot, who comes in and is trying to learn and has had a really good year last year, but really first year at Mizzou, right? And so that room, I think the way that the competition goes, their personalities, and they're all always hanging out. Like if you see one of them, you see all 5 of them, and so. That tells me that their mindset's in the right place, and they all want to be the best version of themselves. But at the end of the day, those linebackers, they're going to have to lead us, right? And they've all taken the steps appropriate now to put themselves in position to really go out and compete. Once fall camp starts.
Last thing, all this potential we're talking about it. How excited are you to, probably for the first time, get pads, figure out how all these pieces fit together over the next month?
Yeah, and that's what fall camp is, right? Like spring ball is so different here. Spring ball is about individual development, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not about the units, and not about scheme. It's about each guy, really recapping, from last fall. Hey, here's my strengths, here's my weaknesses. These are the parts of the game I need to really improve on. And so spring ball is really dedicated to that. Well, now it changes, right? Now it's about the team, right? And building the best team we can build, and what my role is within that team. And so, the cool thing is that you have a lot more pieces that are vying for those positions than you had in the past. And so, it's fun. It'll be fun to put it all together.